Good evening. I would like to call to order the Kaiser City Council. It is Monday, November 15th, 2021, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Reed?
Here.
Mayor Clark?
Here.
Council President Smith?
Here.
Councilor Kohler?
Here.
Councilor Durand?
Is excused this evening.
Councilor Herrera?
Is excused this evening.
And Youth Councilor Coleman?
Here.
All right, thank you very much. If you are able, I invite you to rise and please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good evening all on this very blustery Monday. Good to see that you braved the weather to join us this evening. And for those who are watching online, you're the smart ones. This evening, I would like to start off with a special order of business, a proclamation for Small Business Saturday. And I have I will enjoy shopping on Small Business Saturday, but I have invited the Keizer Chamber of Commerce, the Latino Business Alliance, and the Kaiser Business Alliance to join us this evening in issuing this proclamation. These are three organizations that support small businesses in the Kaiser and Marion County area. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas Small Business Saturday, established in 2010, was created and designed to show financial support for small businesses in our community. And whereas the City of Kaiser celebrates and supports our small businesses and the significant contributions they make to diversify and strengthen local economic opportunities and prosperity. And whereas, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 31.7 million small businesses in the United States, and they represent 99.7% of all firms with paid employees in the United States and are responsible for 65.1% of net new jobs created between 2000 and 2019. And whereas 88% of U.S. consumers feel a personal commitment to support small businesses in the wake of the pandemic, and 92% of small business owners have creatively pivoted the way they do business in order to stay open during the pandemic. And whereas 56% of shoppers reported they shopped online with small businesses on Small Business Saturday in 2020, and more than 50% of consumers who reported shopping small endorsed a local business on social media or shopped at a local business because of a social media recommendation. Way to go. And whereas local small businesses provide a critical and reliable resource for goods and services that our community needs in order to be more resilient and less reliant on vulnerable supply chains, and that our support is needed now more than ever to ensure these businesses remain open and can thrive in the future. Now, therefore, I, Kathy Clark, Mayor of the City of Kaiser, together with the Kaiser City Council assembled in regular session, do hereby proclaim November 27, 2021 as Small Business Saturday and urge the residents of our community and the communities across our country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. So I would invite Corey and any representatives from the Latino Business Alliance and Kaiser Business Alliance to come forward. I'd like to give copies of this. Woo! Corey! And for the other organizations, these will be mailed to them, so they will have this, and Dan's going to get a picture. I'll give these to you. And
I can't see your smile.
I'll have a smiley eyes.
Ready, set, I'll forget it.
Shop. Open. Corey, you want to tell us a little bit about what we're doing to support our businesses and how we can continue to support our businesses? I'll give you
I'll do my best.
Plug away.
So at the Keizer Chamber, we do a lot of small business support. One way that the community can kind of search out local businesses and try to fulfill their needs locally, go to the Keizer Chamber website and go on our directory, and you can enter in like things you might need in the search engine, and businesses will pop up for you. You can subscribe to our weekly newsletter, and in the weekly newsletter, we put in small business tips, how to access small business in Keizer. And then another big push for small business is our social media, Keizer Chamber on Facebook. We shout out our small business chamber members all the time and give tips and tricks on how to shop local and keep everything in Keizer. One thing I do want to say is that we often get so in the rush of holiday living that we go to the big box stores just to get what we need quickly. But take a little bit of extra time and search out the small businesses that offer the same exact product or services. I think you'll be 1,000 times more impressed on what you get as far as the quality of the goods and services and the people that you'll build relationships with. And that's what it's about, supporting small businesses, building relationships right here in Keizer. So thank you so much for including us in this. I really appreciate it.
Well, my pleasure, and thank you for the work that you are doing to support businesses in our community. Both members and non-members, the Chamber has been reaching out as far and wide as you can to make sure that the businesses survive and thrive. Councilor Kohler, you had a question or comment?
He was just giving me a thumbs
Oh,
up.
thumbs up. Okay, the comment is way to go.
This is a good proclamation. I appreciate you doing that, and I appreciate the Chamber being here to accept that. I get to be a liaison to the Chamber, and I get to see some of the great work that they do, and we're really fortunate to have them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Thank you so much, Corey,
Thank
and
you.
let's get rocking for the holidays.
That's right.
Turkey Dash. Woo! All right, shop local, and please remember, shop local. Committee reports. We have Wayne Fry here tonight to talk about the parks.
Hi, Mayor, councilors, staff, thank you for your time. We had a Parks Advisory meeting November 9th, last Tuesday. We had some input from our local community about, our main topic that night was the Parks Master Plan. And so we had some visitors coming from West Kaiser Neighborhood Association, and they had some concerns about one of the parks in the master plan. We have 19 parks. And I think, 16 of those are developed. I don't recall exactly. We want you to, if you live here in Keizer, we want you to know that we have 5 acres of parks for every 1,000 people. We want you to be able to walk to a park within 10 minutes. Let me go over some of those concerns that our neighbors brought in about Palmacia Park. There was, they had read through the proposed parks master plan, and in that, the plan was to kind of let that park go back to native and take away the sign and make it not a park. It's really not a developed park right at the moment. But then our visitors from West Kaiser Neighborhood Association, they brought, a lot of people like to walk there. They would like to have a trail there. They'd like to do some bird watching. Open it up just a little bit so you can see the river. That's one of the goals of the master plan, is to allow river access. And so we had discussion among the Parks Board, and the Parks Advisory Board also agreed that we want to keep the option of Palmacia Park open. So we made a motion, and we amend the master plan to keep Palmacia Park open. And then we voted on the master plan to promote it to City Council. And we passed a motion to accept the Parks Master Plan with the amendments regarding Palmacia Park. And so that was our big discussion, was the Parks Master Plan. We also had Cindy Mendoza was the person from MIG, the consulting company. And she made a presentation about the Parks Master Plan. She told us everything you want to know. It's a 173-page document. The park system, park needs, enhancement opportunities, mission, vision, goals. The Parks Master Plan is going to be a 10-year plan. Initially, when the outreach was done to West Kaiser Neighborhood Association, they wanted it to be not a real popular park, not a lot of new amenities. You can't get, it's real hard, it's a small park, you can't get ADA walkways in there. But they do want to keep it as a park. Okay. We discussed briefly some administrative management type things of Kaiser Little League and the Kaiser Rotary Amphitheater. Biggest thing we did was talking about the Parks Master Plan. We're recommending that City Council do approve it with the amendments. Any questions?
Any questions on the Parks report? I totally get it with the history of the Palmacia Park. That's my neighborhood too. And I've walked down there with my dog. It has been an interesting little piece of land with some quirky characteristics, but.
It has there's a dike there. I guess that's to keep the river from overflowing.
Yes, that dike is concrete for a really good reason.
And so we also were going to ask the Corps of Engineers to see if there's anything that can be done about the dike or with the dike, building a bird shelter nearby or a bird watching shelter, something like that. We'd like to build a trail down so you can access the river. Not too much, a bench, a table, maybe a trash can, a dog waste area, a post. It's really all we need for that particular park.
What's nice too is that a fair portion of that park is under cultivation courtesy of the neighbors.
There's some fruit trees there.
Oh, gardens, yeah. There's quite a bit that has been enjoyed for many years and cultivated. So that's a lot less blackberries we have to take care of. But, all right, thank you very much. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good to see you up and about.
It's been 5 weeks post-surgery.
Woohoo! You're rocking it, sir. Keep it going.
Getting faster and faster every time you come here.
Yeah, so happy for you. All right, that is the only committee report I have. Was there anybody else here tonight to report on one of our city committees? Going once, going twice. All right, this leads us then to public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have one public hearing tonight, and that is authorization for supplemental budget, American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA fund. So if you're here to talk to us about that, make sure you sign in on that sign-in sheet. Other than that, before we started with the public comment, I want to acknowledge the written comment. We received 3 comments, one from Lori Christopher, resident of Keizer, on the Kaiser Little League contract, from Michael Brown, residents not listed on the resignation of Councilor Ross Day, and Carolyn Holman, resident of Kaiser, Community Diversity Engagement Committee. So acknowledging those for the record. All right. With that then, I will go to Judy Lechty from the Kaiser Community Food Bank. Welcome, good to see you this evening. If you just come up and give your name and city of residence, 5 minutes, and tell us about the food bank, please.
All right. My name is Judy Lease.
Thank you, I'm sorry I
And
mispronounced it.
I'm a resident of Kaiser 5.5 years now, and I've been part of the food bank for 3.5 years. I am the assistant manager there, and I just came in from our opening tonight. We were open from 5 to 7 tonight, and we had 35 cars fly through. And so part of what I need, I was asked to be here tonight to tell you about the food bank. Our location, we're at Faith Lutheran Church at 4505 River Road in the heart of Keizer. And I absolutely love that location because it's good access for people to come in and out. We are open on Mondays from 5 to 7, Thursdays from 9 until 11 a.m. We're available to receive donations and such from on Mondays and Wednesdays, 12 to 2. And to explain what we do, we have clients line up in their cars. Since the pandemic, we had to reinvent ourselves. And so all of our clients stay in their cars, they line up in the parking lot. We register them, we hand them a menu or a shopping list, and they will fill out what they want. The master recycler in me came out with this one, because we didn't want to give out food that our clients don't want. So they fill this out, we hand it to a volunteer who pushes the cart through the pantry and does basically the shopping for everyone. And then they push it on out the door and give it to the client and load the client's car. Client says thank you and drives off. That's how we operate. Ideally, this works really well with about 15 to 18 volunteers each session that we are open. We have done it with as few as 8 people. Let me tell you, that's not fun. With 8 people, I end up being exhausted at the end of the night. So our numbers right now, in the summer, our numbers went down some, and we think that was partly because of some stimulus money or, really don't know why. But since the school year has started back up, our numbers have increased. We have gone from about 60 to 70 customers per week. Now we're averaging 80 to 90 per week. This coming Thursday and Mondays, I'm expecting a lot more because that's when we are handing out our turkey dinners. And if last year is any indication of it, the Monday before Thanksgiving, we had 67 clients, and we turned away at least 30. So that kind of gives us an indication of the need in Kaiser. And I think the need is going to be greater this year. Some of our top needs right now, and I was talking with Mayor Clark the other day, is that we need a delivery van. We have been using my van, which is 18 and a half years old and on its last legs, mainly for picking up goods from the store, because sometimes I have to do the shopping because our pantry is not complete. So I have to go in and buy stuff like canned fruit or canned soups or canned beans or whatever the pantry goods are. Last week I had to buy about $800 worth of meat because we got very little meat from Food Share. So I have to do a lot of shopping just to fill in the blanks. And if any of you have gone grocery shopping at the local stores, you can kind of understand that. There are some bare shelves out there. So anyway, we're looking for a delivery van, kind of like a Ford Transit or a Sprinter van that will really help us out immensely. As always, cash is a great donation. It's something that, because I'm the one, I can go out, I can find the best deals out there and buy in quantity. But also, we'll take canned goods or, we have a couple of people who donate us fresh eggs on a weekly basis now. So farmers can kind of get involved and give us, the excess that you have. Canned goods, if you're a church or some other sort of organization that likes to do food drives, we're happy to receive anything from that. And if you don't like doing food drives, we've got food barrels all over the city, like at Tony's Comics, Uptown Music, Copper Creek, Columbia Bank, Willamette Valley Bank, Key Bank, Bi-Mart, and sometimes we get stuff from the Rec and the Grass Hut, and I probably have left out some organization, and I'm sorry if I did. We also have some regular donors who donate just like one specific item, but they do it on a continuous basis. Like we've got this couple who right now, they donate chili every couple weeks. And that's what they have been doing for the past several months. And that is a huge, huge deal for us. So, and the other thing is we are still looking for a new home, although I'd like to actually remain at Faith Lutheran, just because it's a great location. But with our increased growth, we are currently kind of outgrowing our space. And so we're kind of looking for a space that's about 2,000 to 2,500 square feet with a large enough parking lot, since we are a drive-through operation. And this parking lot needs to be able to handle at least 30 cars in formation. And yeah, so that's really about all I have. So if there's any questions of me, ask away.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the work you and all the volunteers are doing to take care of our neighbors here in Kaiser. Councilor Kohler, you had a question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, thank you for this tremendous work that you're doing. Is there, now, it's every Monday that you open for distribution?
We're open Monday nights and Thursday mornings. So we're open
Okay.
twice a week.
So this next Monday, I'd encourage you to encourage people to come to the Kaiser Community Dinner. That's Wednesday evening before Thanksgiving.
Right.
And there's no requirement other than just come and enjoy. There'll be a good meal provided that night.
Right.
So I encourage you to encourage them to come.
Yeah.
A lot of churches have gotten together to help provide that meal.
Yes.
Are there flyers that they might be able to hand out with the boxes?
We've gotten them in the past, and usually St. Ed's will give it to us
Okay,
if there are flyers.
that'd be great to be able to.
That'd be helpful because, we're planning on 400 people, and
Yeah,
so it'd be ashamed to not feed people.
right.
Yeah, I want to sell out. So, and again, you're on Facebook, correct? So if people want to know more, they can go to your Facebook page for the Kaiser Community Food Bank
That is correct.
for your top 10 needs and donate button and anything people want to know. Can people volunteer through that, or do they need to contact you directly?
They can just show up. That's how I became a volunteer. I just showed up.
That's something Kaiser does well. See what happens, you showed up and now you're the assistant manager. That's
Yeah.
how it rolls. Well, thank you again, and thanks for getting us up to date, and we'll all work hard to keep everything stocked and also to push the word out for the whole community. Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me be here.
All right, next up I have Victoria Miles, and she wants to talk about park equipment for Wallace House Park. Good to see you.
Good evening, everyone. As she said, my name is Victoria Miles, and I'm the Community Impact Coordinator for Integrated Supports for Living. We're a fairly small nonprofit that a lot of people haven't heard of, but we've been around since 1974, and we provide therapeutic housing and employment supports for children and adults with disabilities. And what I wanted to speak to you about today is Wallace House Park, which is really close to our children's home. And we're hoping to fundraise for adaptive, inclusive play equipment to put in that park. Because as it stands at the moment, our children who live within walking distance aren't able to utilize anything that is there. And that's pretty much across the board for almost all the parks in Salem and Kaiser. So our plan is next year on June 4th, we're having an inclusive field day for youth ages 4 to 21 to come play at Riverfront Park and to meet a bunch of other nonprofits that do work with children, so that families know what options they have for summer break or for residential services or just in-home supports, to kind of make them feel like they belong. So yeah, there's a little flyer going around, but I kind of wanted to share with you this sort of alarming statistic that in 2019, 347,000 people in Marion County identified themselves as being disabled. And out of that humongous number, 30% of those are children under 18. So I think that we can do a lot as a community to help people feel like they belong. So this equipment will help do that. So we're hoping to be considered for part of the master plan.
Thank you very much. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you give us some kind of idea about what adaptive play equipment might look like? What exactly is that?
Fabulous question. So adaptive play equipment might look like bouncy floors for play equipment instead of sawdust, because a wheelchair or a walker would be able to navigate that. They make swings that someone in a wheelchair can get on and strap into safely, so that children who have never had that type of experience can have it safely. It might mean larger than normal play equipment for people that maybe have the mental capacity of a child, that would still enjoy being able to play outside. So sturdier things, more sensory sensitive, safe, and able to accommodate adaptive equipment such as walkers, wheelchairs, maybe leg braces, things like that.
Thank you.
Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Victoria, thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you.
We do have some of those things in some of our parks. The park up by the Meadows has the swing for the wheelchairs, and it has rubberized mat.
Yes.
As well as the Big Toy has a couple different things there for those types of things. Have you been to those areas?
Yes, and those are wonderful. So our plan is to hopefully put them in all parks across Salem Keizer. Wallace House just has a special place in our heart because it's so close to our established children's home that it would be nice for them to be able to utilize their neighborhood park.
Great. I thought I misunderstood what you said, apparently, because you said that we didn't have any in the Salem Keizer area. And I thought, whoa.
There are some, but not as many as there
Yes.
could be, should be.
Thank you for doing all that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And so I have a question for Mr. Lawyer. You don't have to answer right now. So in the Parks Master Plan, one of our overarching requirements or objectives is ADA and accessibility. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So if a project came to the city in order to put in accessible equipment at a park, we would not have to do an amendment to the master plan that is already included by reference. Is that
Yes.
correct?
That's correct.
All right, so when we have a project ready to go, we already have the space in the master plan to accommodate that. That's why I asked that question, because if we needed to get the language in now is the time to do it.
Well, wonderful. I'm glad it's already there.
So there we go. I wanted to make sure and get that out there for everybody. So make sure that when the June 4th date comes, we also get that into our calendars so we can help promote that. And also it gives everybody an opportunity to learn about these wonderful young people and as members of our community. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Oh, thank you for your time.
All right, and next up is Richard Walsh, wants to talk about Kaiser Little League. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Richard Walsh. I'm a local small business owner, and so I appreciate the proclamation, even though I'm not open on Saturday, but we are open the rest of the week. So I came here not really just to talk about Kaiser Little League. I realize I might actually be too late for that for all practical purposes, but I do want to talk about the selection process as we move into the future. Maybe it can be applied to Kaiser Little League, maybe not. That's up to you. But I saw kind of a disturbing trend lately, both with the amphitheater and with the Little League. And to tell you about the disturbing trend, I need to talk to you about the past a little bit. So in the past, we used to have a lot of groups, volunteers, large groups that would get together and build these fantastic assets. Kaiser Little League being one of them, where people would get together, they put their blood, sweat, and tears into these organizations, into these facilities, and they create it and they bring it there for the people of Kaiser at virtually no cost or very little cost to the city of Kaiser. That's not the only example. We've had the amphitheater, of course, was created the same way with huge volunteer efforts. We got the soccer club that created the Whitaker Fields, the Little League, the disc golf, the volleyball courts. All of these things were built by people that wanted to manage them. And quite frankly, the only real criteria, as far as I know, for those groups to actually manage those, the overwhelming criteria was that they created them. They built them. They put their blood, sweat, and tear into them. They raised the money for them. And so they got to use them. And I thought that's where we were going forward, where we have ideas that maybe some groups will come forward and build soccer fields at Kaiser Rapids Park. Or maybe they'll build the baseball field or the softball fields or the diamond there at Kaiser Rapids Park. We kind of envisioned some groups are just going to be real motivated and come down there and build them because it's happened so much in the past and it's been a very successful program with very little residual cost to the city. But what's happening now is that we're taking these assets that other people have created and we're putting it for bid and that's fine. I understand that happens. It's time moves on. But we're not giving any points, any criteria. One of the 60 points we give, I was very surprised. I looked at the criteria sheet that the graders grade, and they look down to grade who gets a contract. There isn't a single point for building the very asset that we're managing. Not 1 out of 60. We give 5 points for having good penmanship and clarity in writing. We give 5 points for knowing the laws. The laws, they don't need to know. We can tell them what the laws are, and then they just have to agree. We give 10 points for that. We give 0 points for volunteer effort in creating the very asset they're managing. I think that's a slap in the face to the volunteers, and I'm worried about how are we going to get groups to do these in the future if we don't give a single point for that. So I think the system of rating is flawed. I understand Clint's going to raise a similar issue when you get to the amphitheater, but it's something that should be given some consideration. Second consideration that should be given is the people that are willing to put the money back into it. They raise money with the asset that we, our taxpayers and our volunteers create, and then someone wants to pull the money out and give it to themselves in the form of salaries, bonuses, commissions, whatever. I'm not saying that's bad. Private-public partnership is fine. But if a group wants to give all the assets back to the facility, back to the city, they should get a point. 1 out of 60, 5 out of 60, something. There's no consideration of that whatsoever. This request for a proposal, the grading sheet, look at it hard. Are these things that are really important to Kaiser citizens? Is it really important that you include a complete and clear response to items on the content of the responses, that you're able to speak clearly? Is that really worth, if we give 1 point for volunteer effort, is it worth 500 times or 500% more? It's not. So this criteria needs to reflect the values of Kaiser citizens. And one of those is biggest bang for the buck, supporting volunteers and encouraging people to take on these projects and build them for us. So that's my point. I think that if we had that kind of criteria, Little League would be in a better position. They would have been more forward about it if they knew that it counted for something. And I think that the chilling effect of groups saying, oh, it doesn't even matter when they look at these criteria, is not supportable in a city that prides itself on pride, spirit, and volunteerism. Any questions?
Thank you. I do have one comment. You do know that both groups had the opportunity to send in revisions, and only one did.
Well, they sent in revisions, but the criteria didn't change.
I understand.
So it wouldn't matter. They could say, we built it, and it wouldn't matter. You wouldn't get 1 point.
I'm not going to argue the point.
Okay.
All right, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Holland.
My name is Clint Holland, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in front of City Council. I want to talk about the Kaiser Little League. There's a lot of things that bother me, not only in the amphitheater, but also here at the Little League complex. I want to bring some stuff up that maybe the city council doesn't know. I don't have the exact figure, but it's more than this. Did you know that the Little League and the youth programs had put in more than $1.5 million in cash into that complex? Do you know they put in 2.5 in donated stuff? Things like fertilizer, they get free. They get sand, gravel, chemicals. I mean, it's hundreds of different things they get. But $2.5 million in donation over all the years that they've been there. And that doesn't include the tens and tens of thousands of hours that they have put in to make that facility what it is. And if you go up there on a weekend, they built this up really strong in the last couple of years, and now that they've got it clear up with tournaments, parking's a nightmare because there's so many people up there. But that's because the youth programs did that. They did that on their own. I get amazed, and there's some stuff that's being passed around. Is it being passed around? Can you pass it to other people? This to me is sacred, the things that are up there that we're talking about. And these are the people in the $1.5 million and $2.5 million who have given us this stuff to build this complex. And now the way the wording is, hey, they can come back to city council and change that, which I don't think is right. I'll just give you, for instance, Kaiser Little League. I can't even tell you of the tens of thousands of dollars they've given. The last time they gave me money was 4 years ago. They gave us $50,000 for that complex, and that was $12,500 each year for 4 years, and it just ended last year. People like Les Schwab, those signs should stay there, never be changed, never be charged, because they paid for 2 of the scoreboards that are up there. Things like Roland Herrera on one of the buildings. Roland did a lot up there. I'm sorry he's not here to recognize that, but his name is on one of the field houses up there for all the stuff that he's done. I'm amazed in the contract and how many times it's been changed, and the sweet deals sometimes that come along. You put an RFP together, and then you work the contract out, and you change all the stuff that everybody thought they were bidding on. Doesn't even match what they thought was happening. For instance, alcohol. I sat here and listened to the city council say no alcohol. What happened in the last contract? That's not what they put in there. They put no alcohol for youth programs. It's different than what the city council had said. And I was kind of amazed at that. Now, I know now it's different in the contract now, but these are some of the things that I'm talking about. I'm amazed at the $1 million. Little League carries $2 million up there. And you guys are only asking new people to do $1 million. You better think about that, because there is a lot of risk up there, and $1 million these days doesn't cover hardly anything. Naming rights, like the signs that are up there. Rotary's got a sign. A lot of people have signs up there for all the money and time that they donated. I asked years ago about the naming of the complex, still leaving Keizer Little League on there, but turning around and maybe getting somebody like Dick's Sporting Goods or somebody else that would give us $1 million a year for maybe 10 years. Nothing ever happened with that. I'm also amazed, it says the youth programs play Monday through Thursday. Well, the youth programs always had Fridays in addition blocked out, because what happens in the spring? It rains all the time. And so they need the Friday to make up those games, because when you got 10 or 11 games going on during the week and they get disqualified and they have to make them up, you can't even make them up all on a Saturday.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. 5 minutes has elapsed. Did you have a final closing statement?
well, I had a lot more stuff here, but I don't know if I can. Also in the contract, it lists all the kind of stuff that the new manager has to do. I'm absolutely amazed at all the things that are done that's listed in here.
Mr. Holland, if you have written comments, we'd love to have those. If you have a chance to turn them in, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay?
And I will take questions. So thank you for coming
Okay.
tonight, appreciate it. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council this evening under public testimony? Going once? Okay. So we will then move on to our public hearings. And we have one public hearing this evening, and that is a resolution authorization for a supplemental budget, American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA Fund. The public hearing is now open. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Finance Director Tim Wood is going to present the staff report on the proposed budget.
Thank you. This is a carryover from the October 25th Long Range Planning Task Force meeting. At that meeting, we discussed potential uses for ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act funds. We came up with a handful of projects that we would like to move forward with. So I come to you tonight with a request that we do a supplemental budget so that we can appropriate and recognize the funds within the ARPA fund itself so that we can start to move forward with these projects. With that, if there's any additional questions, I'd be free to address those.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the staff report or the proposal as it's been brought forward? Okay, is there anyone who has signed up for public testimony? According to Ms. Davis, nobody has signed up for public testimony on this topic. Is there anyone here present who would like to address the council in this public hearing regarding the distribution or the use of the ARPA funds as proposed? All right, seeing none. Council, any questions before I close the public hearing? The public hearing is now closed. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, Authorization for Supplemental Budget, American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA Fund.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, Authorization for a Supplemental Budget, American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA Fund. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes with unanimously with 2 absent, that is Herrera and Duran. All right, and my thanks to Mr. Wood and the team for bringing us some great recommendations, and also to the Long Range Planning Task Force that met to go over this proposal to bring forth this recommendation to City Council. Really appreciate that input as well. That takes us then to administrative action, item 8A, which is a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign park management agreement with For the Love of the Game, Inc. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Prior to turning this over to our city attorney, I just want to commend the city attorney for what I think has been an excellent job in trying to work through a lot of the issues surrounding this contract. I know he's worked very hard to try and incorporate and address some of the concerns that were raised throughout the process, and I think he's told the story on a number of occasions that when I first looked at the contract, I was wondering why somebody would sign it, because it imposes some pretty large obligations, and I think it's very favorable to the city. With that, I will pass the issue on to Shannon for his presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wes, Madam Mayor, and Council. This matter's been before the Council a few times, so I'm not going to go into the details. I will kind of update both you and the audience with regard to what's happened since the last time we reviewed this. The Council directed us to focus in on language with regard to disability laws and improvements. So in a nutshell, which was good because I think both parties needed some clarification on that. So any capital improvements that the manager, Love of the Game, chooses to make, they will have to make them in compliance with ADA or other disability laws. It'll be part of their cost to do so. If, on the other hand, the city decides we're going to do a project that we think is important, we have funding for, obviously we would do that.
And the third scenario is one that neither party really wants to do, but some outside party says you're forced to do. That, again, if it's a capital improvement that has to be done, either a modification or a new project, such as paving the paths, for example, which would be real hard to do because of the topography, et cetera, that would be on the city to do. That's a capital improvement. If, on the other hand, they want to do that, so the example we used talking with the Walkers was the bathroom. If a complaint came in that said this is not compliant with ADA, and it was required to be modified, the city would have to do that. If the team, and they have talked about wanting to modify, expand, or remodel the bathroom, if they chose to do that as part of it, and I think it is in the agreement, then that is on them to make sure that it's done, obviously not just correctly with all codes, but with disability law. So that's how we dealt with that, and they were fine with those changes, and you can see them in the red line version. The other item that I neglected to put in the staff report that I'll update you verbally on, the council gave a rather vague statement to work on how the timing would work. It was difficult, I think, at the last meeting to figure out how that could work, and so you asked us to look at that. Mr. Lawyer and I discussed that at length, and then we discussed it with the Walkers, but frankly, what we have is 2-year review period followed by a 2-year notice period. None of us could see, and I think the council wrestled with the same issue, reducing the 2-year review period. It just did not seem to make sense to try to review this better on one season. The flip side of it is Mr. Lawyer has indicated that although it may be possible, it would be difficult to be up and running in any less than 2 years. So we were kind of stuck, frankly. I asked the Walkers if they had any suggestions on that, and they didn't. So that part has not been changed. Obviously, you folks decide ultimately, but you asked us to look at it. We did look at it, but we couldn't really come up with any other solution. Mayor Clark had asked, and I'm going to be real brief on this, but I'll go through them, some questions be addressed in the staff report. First question was, the contract is for 10 years with what I just described, a 2-year exit clause. Has the city entered into a contract that's been a decade long? We do have long-term agreements, franchise agreements, Kaiser Rapids Park lease agreement with the state. For those of you who don't know, a large portion of Kaiser Rapids Park is actually state ground. It's leased to the city, so that's a long-term agreement. We have well, obviously the stadium lease, and it's also a ground lease with the Heritage. Thank you, Madam Mayor, over there.
That away.
So that direction. So that's kind of how that works. The naming rights, the rights to the naming are clearly with the council. I would assume that a project that came forward like that for the naming rights for a field or the complex itself would come with all the details for council to be approved. And then the third question was regarding the park manager compensation. We receive income and balance sheets for that. It would be true that there's no direct overview, but it will be public knowledge and can be debated at that time. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. The recommendation is to review the matter and determine if you want to move forward. We have a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign the lease, and the lease has been signed by the Walkers.
All right. Thank you very much, and thank you for the work that's gone into this. Are there questions on the contract? Council President Smith. I'll put a motion on the table, if you would.
Sorry.
Scrolling. Here.
I got it.
Okay.
I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, authorizing city manager to sign park management agreement with For the Love of the Game, Inc.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, authorizing city manager to sign park management agreement with For the Love of the Game, Inc. Discussion. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say that I think that Councilor Shannon has done a tremendous job asking us, or doing what we asked him to do as far as modifying the contract. It's a lot plainer now than it used to be, and makes a lot more sense. And I just want to say appreciate the time and effort that he put into that. I would like to separate from the contract. I still would like to know what the numbers would be if we ended up having to take this over at some point, what it would cost us to do. And I think that if we directed city staff to run those numbers, then we would have those numbers in the event that we actually had to do that at some point.
Thank you. Council President Smith, comment, questions?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, real quickly, I remember seeing a lot of this commentary on social media, and obviously people are extremely passionate about it, which I do appreciate. And I do appreciate what Mr. Walsh said regarding the RFP process and the volunteers. And I do think that that's something that we should be looking at, outside of this subject. But I did notice that there was two RFPs or two people that applied, or two groups. My question is, what happened to the other group? I don't see them speaking out on social media, and I don't see them here tonight. Did they just move on, or are they in agreement?
Wasn't that the group that came last time, the
Yes,
joint group?
I'm sorry, I've forgotten his name, but the other proposer did come at a previous meeting, not the last time, but the time before that, I believe, and indicated that he wasn't going to be involved anymore with the park. He wasn't going to bring any games or tournaments to that park anymore. But other than that, I don't know what their status is.
Gotcha. I was just curious about that. And then at this point, this contract goes into effect on what date?
November 1.
Okay, and so our backup plan that we currently have in place is what? Exactly, there isn't one. Okay, that's all I just wanted to know. Thank you
No,
so much.
I don't believe there's a backup plan.
Okay, thanks so much.
A follow-up on that, though, would be, should we not choose to run this as a baseball, softball facility? It could be mowed like every other park. Is that correct? Just like Kaiser Rapids or something like that, just maintained as a park, not as a baseball, softball facility?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Reed, any comments?
No, other than I also really appreciate Mr. Johnson's willingness to look at this and respond to concerns and address them the best way possible. This is, we just as times evolve and volunteerism, the face of volunteerism changes, we need to be able to do something different, and that's what brought us to this point. And I do agree that, volunteerism, we want to promote that in any way possible as we proceed, but we also have to proceed knowing that it's not as it used to be and that things are different. And that's one of the reasons that we now have the Keizer Cultural Center in the form that it is because that had to be sort of reconceived based on people's patterns of volunteerism. So I do appreciate the sensitivity to the details and the concerns as we proceeded with this. I appreciate everybody's passion and the volunteerism that has gone into making this park so superb, and getting to the point that we are where we are now in terms of needing it managed by a professional organization. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I would invite you, Councilor Coleman, if she has any comments, since you've listened to a lot of this debate and played softball.
Yeah, I kind of jumped into this process, in the middle of it. So it took a little bit of time for me to truly understand the depth and everything of it, and it's been very interesting to witness go down and see everybody's passion behind it. It's also very interesting to go down to see, because I did play softball at these fields when I was younger, which wasn't too long ago. I'm 17. I was, did the little league thing. But it's truly amazing to see how much effort people put in behind it. As a kid, I wasn't very aware of it, but now that I am, I kind of have a new, what's the word? Insight and appreciation of it now. So I just appreciate everybody coming out here and telling their story and talking about their volunteerism, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the future.
Thank you very much. So the only thing I would add at this point is, again, a great appreciation for our community, a great appreciation for literally decades that have gone into the creation, establishment, and operation of this facility that it's even worth having this conversation. It is so valuable, both historically and in the present, that we want that value to be there for the future. The investment that's been made, the volunteerism that's been made, the value to the community, both as a place for recreation as well as for some of our young athletes who go on to collegiate and other endeavors, shows the value that this was worth continuing and taking to a level that can be sustained. Over the last 10 years, we've seen that there have been inconsistencies, and that has not served the players well. So taking the value and the need for this facility to continue to deliver consistently for our young people. I'm excited to bring on professional management of the facility that will allow parents to be able to watch their kids play instead of serving nachos. Allow grandparents to be able to spend time watching their kids play on well-maintained fields and to be able to enjoy that family time. And I really appreciate everybody who has put a lot of work into this. And you know what? I'm probably going to go out there and watch some games this spring. All right, any further discussion? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just think it's crucial that we make sure that we honor the time and the effort of the hundreds of thousands of people that volunteered, built, and maintained that, and allow the facility to provide for the youth of Kaiser in perpetuity. It's really important to me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm calling for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with 2 absent. That would be Herrera and Duran. Thank you all very much. Item 8B was a resolution declaring a vacancy for City Council position number 2. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe our city attorney is prepared to speak to what needs to happen when a vacancy occurs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wes, Madam Mayor and Council. Some of you have been around when we've had a replacement, I think, and thank you, Tracy, for working through the time process. The options you see there are from Tracy Davis. So the city council procedures call for the council to first declare an office vacant upon resignation, and then the rules require that the appointment take place within 45 days after that declaration, which would be tonight. So Tracy's laid out 2 different options, both of which are within that 45-day limit. One of which the letters and the timing of the presentation, et cetera, is a week sooner than the other, basically. The first option, you can see the closing date for letters of interest and resumes is December 2nd. And ultimately, the presentations would be on December 13 along with the vote. Option 2 is the same timeline roughly, except that 1 week difference. The letters of interest are due 7 days later on December 9, and then ultimately the presentations and vote would be on December 20. The resolution is there for your consideration to declare the vacancy, and then after passing the resolution by minute motion, adopt the above process, choosing either option 1 or 2, and then direct staff to give notice accordingly. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions on the procedure or options laid out for us at this point? And for people who are watching, the process for filling a vacancy on City Council is spelled out in the council rules and procedures. We have done this before, so this is not new territory, and we'd invite people who have questions on this process to please get a hold of Ms. Davis, who will be handling the letters of inquiry on this. All right, with that, let's start with the resolution, if you would please, Council President Smith.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021 declaring a vacancy for City Council position number 2.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, declaring a vacancy for City Council position number 2. Is there any discussion? I just have one comment. I would like to thank Councilor Ross for his service to the city, and we wish him well as we move forward here. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. 2 absent, that's Joanna Herrera. All right, so I just need to hear from all y'all, option 1 or option 2 for timeline. And I hope you took a moment, looked at your calendars. You would like 2?
I like 1.
You like 1, there you go. I really don't care either way.
May I just
Yes.
make my case for?
Yes.
Just because in my line of work, I set deadlines a lot, and people tend to procrastinate till the last minute, whether you give them 1 week or 2. So I don't know that giving people an extra week is really going to make any difference. So that is my preference for 1, that we just get the ball rolling and get this done.
All right, I will point out to everybody, we do have a 5th Monday, so that does add an extra week in between. Council President Smith, your pitch for number 2.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not going to be here. So, if you'd like me to be part of it, I'm flying back that day. I might make it, but I just, one flight cancellation, which we all know doesn't happen, but
No.
never, right? That would be the reason that I would need to.
Well, that's a
actually
good
use-
enough reason for me.
Okay. Thanks, Councilor Reed.
Councilor Kohler, do you have a preference or a difficulty with either of those Mondays?
Well, I would have a great difficulty if Counselor Smith wasn't here, so.
All right, so it sounds like we have a preference for option 2. Do you want to make that a motion for us, Councilor Smith?
Yeah, I move that we make a minute motion, Kaiser City Council make a minute motion for option number 2 on our schedule.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we use option number 2 for the timeline for the filling the vacancy for position number 2. Are we all good? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously, and hopefully that works for Councilors Duran and Herrera. We'll put that into their calendars when they get back. It's be there or be chair or something like that. Or in this case, you just have to go along with majority rules. All right. Resolution 8C, adopting the standards and procedures to be used in hiring a city manager. City manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I do have a strong interest in this particular issue. Our city attorney, again, is going to speak to the reason why this resolution is necessary.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Wes, Madam Mayor and Council. So it's been a long time since we hired another city manager, but there is procedures in the state statutes with regard to public meetings laws. So generally, any meeting of the council has to be open to the public. We do have some exceptions for executive sessions. One of the exceptions for executive session is the hiring of the chief executive officer. However, to be able to interview candidates and discuss the matter in executive session, you have to go through a process where you, in open session, invite comments. And Madam Mayor, although it's not a public hearing, I would ask you to invite comments tonight as part of that statute to consider the standards and criteria process under which you would hire the city manager. And so we have taken some of the materials from the Prothman Company, and I also have a section from the charter in there for your information, and adopted and show in the resolution how the recruitment, advertisement, procedure, and then the standards and criteria are listed there too in that resolution. So the recommendation is to consider the matter, and unless there's questions, adopt the resolution. The other issue is the city charter does require the city manager to have a bond after consultation, and thank you, Tracy, again. Tracy works kind of as our risk manager, insurance contact person, and staff has looked into this, along with Mr. Wood too, and the recommendation is to have a $500,000 bond as the recommendation. By charter, that is actually set by council though. So the recommendation is, after adopting the resolution by minute motion, set the amount of the bond at $500,000. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, just Just made note of that. Any questions on the staff report or the process that's been outlined for our next steps of hiring the city manager? We want to make sure this came before you and plenty of time to read through it in case you had any questions or had a chance to visit with Mr. Johnson on anything that came up as you read through it. Are we all good? Looking, Councilor Kohler? Council President Smith? Councilor Reed? Okay, we're all good. Council President Smith, would you put a motion on the table then?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, adopting the standards and procedures to be used in hiring a city manager.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2021, adopting the standards and procedures to be used in hiring a city manager. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously with 2 absent, Herrera and Duran. Council President Smith, the follow-up resolution or motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the Kaiser City Council set the bond that will be required for the new city manager at $500,000.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council approve setting the bond for the incoming city manager at $500,000. Any discussion? And thank you, Ms. Davis, for the work on that. Appreciate it. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Who pays for that?
The city does.
What does that run for, something like that?
Well, you know, Tracy, I'm sure has it off the top of her head. I don't remember, I'm sorry.
I don't exactly recall the amount for the 500,000. I know for the 100,000 that we previously had, it was $300 for annually.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Hare, did you have?
I think it was in the $550 a year range,
That
was my recollection.
rings a bell.
I know I saw the list. And I'm willing to be wrong, so.
Sounds like a good estimate, though.
And if I may, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
it says in the charter that expenses the cities, so it's not a debatable thing. The charter says that we pay for it, which is typically the way it works. The employer pays for it.
Okay. So that voters passed that. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with 2 absent, Duran and Herrera.
Thank you. I just appreciate that we wanted to just clarify, make sure that everybody understood that.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Council President Smith, would you please read the items on tonight's consent calendar? We're zipping.
All right, we have 2 items on the consent calendar tonight. Item A, resolution authorizing finance director to sign quote for police department core switch upgrades with Feynman Group. And item B, approval of the November 1st, 2021 regular session minutes.
Thank you very much. Do either need to be pulled for discussion? Okay, Council President Smith.
I move that the Kaiser City Council approve the consent calendar items A and B.
Second?
The consent calendar has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with 2 absent, Duran and Herrera. All right, other business. This time is provided for the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. So I'll look at staff first. Are there any other new business items that you'd like to bring forward at this time?
I have nothing, Madam Mayor, but I'll defer to other staff members.
Mr. Pina, Chief, Mr. Witham, Mr. Lawyer.
Nothing tonight?
All right, Mr. Johnson, thank you very much. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we direct staff to determine the cost of the city running facilities and maintenance program at Kaiser Little League Park.
I'm just kind of wondering, just in terms
Hang on,
of
if there's not a
Robert's
second,
rules.
well,
Is
it's new business, but it would require a second for conversation.
I second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council direct staff to determine the costs for, say it again.
Cost of the city running a facility and maintenance program at Kaiser Little League Park.
Okay. So, wait, do you want to speak to your motion?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think it's important, for the last 3 years, we've been talking about the Little League Park and how it's going to do, and we've had different times that we say how much it's going to be, and we get, well, it's going to cost more, but we don't know how much more, and nobody's ever really said, this is what it would cost to do that. And I think it's important for us to have a fallback, not that we want to ever use it, but if we don't ever have that information, how do we make that decision?
Thank you. Further discussion. Councilor Reed.
My question is, I guess, for Mr. Lawyer. I guess I'd like to get a little bit more of a scope of the undertaking, and I'm wondering if this is going to change as the new management takes over. Is this a good idea to do now, or would it be a better idea to do later as we sort of see what their numbers are and just kind of get a better idea of it that way? Do we have enough information now to even do this?
This very moment, no, we don't have enough information. We could use information for love of the game after a period of time. I think a minimum of 2 years would be reasonable. But we could do it without that. I would need some more clarification on exactly the definition of run the facility and maintenance program. Does that mean operate and run a youth ball complex with tournaments and concessions and everything like we've seen historically at the facility? Or does that mean keep the facility available, minimum maintenance, keep it up, don't do improvements? I think the former is probably what you're looking for. So I just need some guidance on what that would be so I know the task at hand to put together accurate cost.
Thank you very much. And might I suggest that this would be a topic to take up with the long-range planning task force, because with this kind of discussion, it would figure into all of the other resources that we would need to consider and the long-range planning task force would consider for the best allocation of full-time, for employees and also programs within the city. So it's good data to have, but I would concur that we're going to need time of solid data to be able to have better information for decision-making, but also to understand how this kind of data can help us with other facilities management. We don't have that data right now. Historically, we heard a lot about the investment made by volunteers and through donations over the years. We don't have that accounting. Somebody, donated some fertilizer. Well, they knew about it, but we never got a full list of this is what we got. These are the number of hours put in. We're going to have that data now from, the professional management. We're going to know what went into that facility and what it really takes. And I think that's going to be very informative to us. I think it's also going to help tell the tale of what a partnership with a nonprofit professional manager can do for that facility. There are things that a nonprofit can do that a city can't, and vice versa. So I think we're going to have to weigh that as well. I don't think, and that I think would have to figure into this, just to, for example, some of the sponsorships and grants, some we can qualify for, but some a nonprofit can. Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In business, I always have to have a fallback. And I think that if we don't do our due diligence and know what we would need to do in the event that something did happen, how do we function? We may not have 2 years to put a whole bunch of numbers together to figure out how this is going to work. if we have that information beforehand, then if at the end of 2 years, we did, not that we want to by any means, but if we had to start planning on a way for us to do something else, we would have that base information. I would love to see one that said, just if we were to do facility and maintenance and somebody else running the fields, the concessions and all that. But I think it would also be important for us to have the other number too, if we were having to do the whole thing. So I think that's information that we really need to have just as a fallback.
Well, I have to kind of say, we've kind of been there for the last 10 years. We've had to keep on falling back. How many contracts have we had to go out and do another request for proposals, receive proposals from local groups, try that, and then go out and do it again because it's been this group, then that group, and it's been very inconsistent. And
But that's why I think we
that's
need to have
exactly
that
where we've
information.
been. Now,
Because we don't want to do all that again.
yeah, we've kind of been there, done that, and we got way too many T-shirts. With
And I
professional
have hats.
managers.
I have hats too.
Yeah, and that hat hair doesn't work with my curls. But,
I had hair once.
yeah, Little League would do that. But I think to your point of having good data is going to inform us, is going to inform the community on where our success is and then where the opportunities are for collaboration for growth.
And I think the other thing that it would do is it would help the community understand why we have the love of the game doing this. Because we might look at that and the cost might just be way out there and we can say, look, this is why we did this. It would give us some justification too. That's why I think it's important to do it. And I think I would like to see that done at the end of next year. I would like to see that report at the end of next year.
Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I agree with you that we definitely need this data. My question is about the timing. I think if we were to do this right now, it would be close to useless. And again, it is very important that we have this data, but if you're going to put a time on it, that would be a little bit more convincing for me. Again, I totally agree that we need this done, but my issue is just with the timing.
What timing would you like to see it?
Yeah, I would say after the first 2 years, because I think that for the same reasons as we talked about for the exit clause, that it will take 2 years to kind of figure things out and compare. You don't know if the first year is an anomaly or what, but by the second year, then you have patterns.
Okay.
So I would say, yeah, by the end of the second year that we have this cost analysis and get ready to prepare that. But I think to do it now would be premature.
So when would you like to see the report? At the end of December 2023?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can you put that together in 2 years?
I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah, and have it ready for the long-range planning task force that would usually meet at the beginning of 2024. I know it sounds like forever ago, but you have to remember this is the end of 2021. We kind of skipped a year in my brain, I did, because it sounds like it's way out there. But I think that's a reasonable time to have that ready for the task force to look at and understand what the value is, where our opportunities are, because by that time, the love of the game is going to have a 2-year track record, and they can bring opportunities that start to present themselves with that consistency. I know that organizations, when they begin to realize that you're reliable and that they can call you and the next season you're still there, they start to plan on you. And that's where you get repeat bookings. Ask any facility or any hotel, so forth, by being consistent, people know that they can rely on you and they can book their events. In this case, it's going to be tournaments and other sporting activities. Also, well, this is off the topic, so talking about Salem travel, yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I guess I'd like to turn this into a friendly amendment just to make this by December 2024, right? 23.
3. 2 years.
Okay, so 2 years, yeah, December 2023, so I'd like to make that a friendly amendment.
Move or accept that?
I accept that.
Second, accept it?
Yes, I do.
It is done. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Data, 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 cannot make bricks without straw. All right. Council member reports. Councilor Reed, can I start with you tonight?
Sure. So, I have had the opportunity to do some theater, or go to some live theater lately. So the Salem Theater Network put on a show called All Together Now that was, Salem Theater Network is not a company in itself, but is a conglomeration of all the Salem Kaiser theaters, and it was a musical review type thing, and it was fabulous. And they had used our cultural center, the theater over in the cultural center, for a couple of months to do rehearsal, and so it was just a really nice collaboration that way. And then this weekend at the Kaiser Homegrown Theater is hosting a series of monologues called Together Alone, and these involve some pretty heavy hitters in the area. Miss Havisham's Wedding Cake is going to be performed by Pamela Abernathy. Pamela's Sets will be performed by Tom Hewitt. And Woman Caught Unawares will be performed by Robin Hayak. And these performances are November 19th and 20th at 7 o'clock, and then there will be a matinee on the 20th at 2 p.m. So live theater is back in town, so that's thrilling. And the Kaiser Art Association and the Kaiser Community Library are also open and fully functioning right now. The museum, they're open, but a little less so. They're still working on getting their space together, and but things are opening up and things are happening, and Kaiser is coming back in full in many respects. Also, I got to go to the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association last week, and that is always wonderful to see how many people are involved in that and how well planned they are in terms of inviting guest speakers and just really good community conversations. I appreciated that. And then this Tuesday, we have the Kaiser Arts Commission, and Thursday, I will be attending the Traffic Safety Bike Ped Committee. I always love to sub on those because I learn lots of stuff. So that's what's going on for me. Thank you.
Thank you. When's Thanksgiving break for the high school? Or is that going to be Youth Counselor Coleman?
You want to take that during your thing?
Okay,
Yes, I'm gonna find it.
okay.
I don't know it super specifically.
Okay, well, I'll tell
Okay.
you.
We'll come back around. All right. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did attend the Parks Board meeting with the master plan. Very interesting information. I know that will be coming before council. Other than that, I don't have a lot tonight. Tomorrow is Chamber Greeters, and I'll just be totally selfishly promoting. Caliber Home Loans is the sponsor of that one, so hopefully people can come tomorrow. And other than that, at the rec at 8:30. Is the greeters. But I did want to just say one thing. Last week, unfortunately, I'd gone down to meet a friend, and I just really want to tell people, please don't wear dark clothing at night, especially in the rain. It's really, really hard for drivers to see you. Drivers expect people to walk out in front of you. You know, it's right, left, right. You look both ways before you pull out into an intersection. Unfortunately, we had a family walk out in front of a truck, and the truck went at the light, and my friend had just parked at the restaurant we were at, and she witnessed the whole thing. The father was hit in front of his two children and his wife, and it was very traumatic for everybody, including the driver. So just please, it's so dark and it's so hard to see. If you're out walking at night, wear reflective clothing, and just assume people don't see you. I've had those moments myself where I've come close because someone was just in my blind spot. So just a reminder, because I think he's okay, I pray he's okay, but just wanted to make sure everybody's aware that we all need to take a little responsibility in walking at night right now, because it's just so dark. So that's all I got.
Hear, hear. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Speaking of dark, I appreciate the road warts and the little reflectors that we have on them.
Yes, yes. Those are fabulous.
Hallelujah. Thank you. Yeah, Chamber, I attended the Chamber Board meeting. The county has $3.3 million for business recovery grant through the Chamber, and so they'll be giving a lot more information on that, I'm sure. There's 3 different counties or cities that are working together to make that all happen. December 4th, we're going to be decorating a Christmas tree. 1,350 light bulbs, but who's counting? November 20 and 21st, the Christmas lights will go up on River Road, and gift tags are out for holiday giving baskets. And if you want to put a float in the holiday lights parade, register at the Chamber. I was very excited to see the $100,000 grant received by the LBA this week. Very exciting to see that. And I want to wish everyone a very safe and happy Thanksgiving.
All right, thank you very much. Youth Councilor Coleman, did I give you enough time?
Yes.
Go for it.
All right, so I just wanted to apologize for having to dismiss myself a little early last
Not a
time.
problem.
I had a whole list of things that I wanted to talk about, but I don't have it with me, so I'm not going to include all the things that I had because I don't quite remember all of them. But going back on October 29th, McNary hosted a blood drive here at the Civic Center, and it was super successful. I had the opportunity to volunteer for a few hours while that was going on, and it was super awesome to see people give blood and do such a selfless and awesome thing for people. So that happened, and then playoff game number 1 was super fun and a success, and it didn't rain until the game ended, and it was awesome. And then this last playoff game, we unfortunately lost, but it was still fun, and the cheerleaders got to do a commercial for Fox 12, which was pretty cool. And then the final score was 14-35. And so looking forward, winter sports are starting, such as basketball, wrestling, and swimming, which is exciting. Getting to go indoors will be nice, not having to deal with the weather. I want to mention that McNary's Adopt a Cell is starting again, which is kind of like a program that they've done every year where the classes adopt Celtic families for Christmas, and they donate money and items that they would like for Christmas, and then we give them for them so they can have it for Christmas. But there's going to be a donation flyer with out in the community soon, so anybody can donate to the joint bank account we have for the families. Elf the Musical is coming up as well in December. The dates and tickets are available on McNary's Theater's social media, which I'm so excited. McNary's musicals are always so good every year. And then Thanksgiving break is the 24th through the 28th, and Miss Reed told me that we also have grading day that following Friday. So lots of days off. I feel like we're just getting treated with all these days off. It's kind of nice, but also like, what the heck at the same time. And then the 68th annual Snowball dance is coming up on Saturday, December 4th from 8 p.m. to midnight at the fairgrounds. I believe it's called like Together Again or something. So I've actually never been, and I think I'm going to go this year. So I'm excited. Tickets can be purchased at snowballsalem.com. And proof of vaccination or 72-hour negative COVID test before the dance. And that is all I have at the moment.
That's all? Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted listening to the list. Well done.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited to hear about Snowball being back and just so many of the great activities and so forth. And congrats to the McNary Celtic football team. Good season. All right, thank you so much. Just a couple of things to add. This evening is, oh gosh, this is going a little bit back. Let me see here. Scrolling. No, I have the wrong list. That's why that's looking really old. So let me just kind of go forward from here. This week, We've got the grand opening of the 7-Eleven at Shamawa Station. That's going to be on Wednesday, the 17th at 3:30 in the afternoon. Super excited about that because this has been a long time in the making. And congratulations to the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde and Confederated Tribes of Celeste Indians on this joint venture. And we're looking forward to them be very successful. And the demand for having a gas station at the Shamawa interchange cannot be overstated at all. I do want to, let's see, today's 15th. So the first week of November, we did have a meeting of the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance and both the executive committee and the board. What you're going to notice is a lot of posts on Facebook now if people want to get involved with the warming shelters. They are starting to open with some of this really nasty weather. So if people want to volunteer, please sign up for training so you can come down and help. The first opening was this last weekend at First Presbyterian Church. I want to thank the volunteers who staffed that. If people want to get involved with some of the outreach at Church at the Park, Safe Sleep, Union Gospel Mission, what are some of the other ones? Tanner House for veterans. There are organizations that are serving the needs specific to particular families or individuals that are in need. And I really encourage people to team up with the people who are doing the outreach so that you can partner up and meet the needs of people exactly where they're at rather than guessing. Pair up so that you are meeting needs that people have. Also want to, a couple of highlights, the Yaquina Hall, that escrow should be closing here shortly. I think it got bumped out to the beginning of December. That's going to be housing for people who are in recovery for drug and alcohol recovery. And also, what else is going forward? The Arches Inn, which is the former Super 8 over by the Market Interchange, is under renovation right now. And that will be a place for transitional housing, bring people in, again, low barrier, where people can leave homelessness and begin to receive services. Micro shelters are under construction. We have safe parking that at 8 sites in Salem. They're looking for about 12 more. If there's an organization that would like to be a host for safe parking, please get a hold of Arches. They would help you with setting that up. The ones in Salem, they need to go to the city of Salem. If there's an organization within Kaiser that would like to get involved with safe parking, please let the city know, and we can have that conversation with Arches on what that looks like so we can replicate the safety, security, and services that are required in those sites in Salem. The last thing we want to do is ask people to be in a space that isn't going to be constructive for them as they try to be in a safe space and receive services. The Union Gospel Mission up and running. It's been gratifying to see people inside getting warm and fed and receive services there. Thank you, Councilor Kohler, for mentioning the dinner at St. Edward's for Thanksgiving. There's going to be dinners around town, and so I would encourage people to go to websites or share that information with folks for the upcoming Thanksgiving dinners. Library book sale was very, very successful. Thank you, everybody who came down here and decided you needed some new reads for the winter. I mean, it's this dark, stormy night, right? What are you going to do? Read. And it was really successful. A lot of books went out the door with happy purchasers, and a lot of money went to the Keizer Community Library. Fantastic job. Let's see what else came up. And all of the stuff coming up for the holidays, go to the chamber website for the tree lighting, the gift wrapping, the food boxes and so forth. Council, on your calendar, December 4th. I know it's the same time as Snowball, but since I don't think any of us have kids going to Snowball anymore, we're going to be at the food barrel collecting food at the Kaiser Miracle of Christmas. Also coming up, let us know if you want to go to the Business Leadership Summit on the 6th of December. And Tracy can register you for that. That is all I have. The other thing I would like to remind everybody, we have 2 recruitments right now. One is for the Community Diversity Engagement Committee. If you're interested in being considered for that committee, please send a letter of interest to Tracy Davis, davist@kaiser.org. She will send that out to the counselors, and sending a letter of interest doesn't mean you're going to be selected, and not sending in a letter doesn't mean that a counselor can't select you. However, let us know if you're thinking about it and this is something that is of interest to you, because if someone hasn't made a selection yet or is thinking about various points of view, you're saying, I'm interested, it's going to go a long way. Also, all meetings, of course, will be open to the public and you're welcome to attend. Not being appointed doesn't mean you can't come. And as we heard earlier, showing up oftentimes gets you a lot farther when you, later on, you start showing up, the next thing you know, you're doing this. Also, City Council, send in your letters of interest. That will post tomorrow on what should be included. And go to the website for that information. We encourage people to send in their letters of interest and the resume. And Ms. Davis will get those put together for our review in December. Make sure that you check your calendar, that you are available for the interview process, which will be held on December 20th. And let us know if you have any questions about that. All right, agenda input. November 29th, we will meet in a work session at 6 p.m. For the Parks Master Plan. And then we have a special session at 7:30 on the city manager recruitment. Again, next steps on the process. On December 6th, 7 p.m., we will meet in regular session. On December 13th, we have a council work session. If I remember correctly, the topic is our rules, council rules and procedures. Is that correct? I believe so.
Or the right-of-way.
Right, that was the question.
Oh, that's right. We were going to talk about we hadn't finished circling back on the issues around rights-of-way to explain rights-of-way management.
Right.
Was that what the one was going to be on the 13th? Because we had talked about council rules and procedures, but I think rights-of-way may be a little more timely.
In terms of where we were with possible revenues for other programs, that was the discussion, and I had told you I would get back to you with some questions from that last proceeding with regard to right-of-way fees, so I've looked into that a little further.
Okay. Council preference, having a work session on rights-of-way. We had the one presentation, but it became clear that we needed to kind of take a step back and explain rights-of-way management, what that looks like now, what that's looking like in models going forward. So your preference, if you want to do rules and procedures and do rights-of-way in January or reverse. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just remind me again, what specifically were we looking at about the rules and procedures?
There were some questions that had been raised about some of the sections, and so I was asking all the councilors if there were sections they wanted looked at to get those to the city attorney, so we could have a work session on what those are, and then there's a few tweaks that Mr. Johnson has identified as we've used them this year that will need some correcting.
Okay.
And updates.
Thank you.
Preference. Right of way, rules and procedures. My preference is right of way because I think this is more timely and we need to look at getting this addressed for managing how we manage our rights of way and also manage that revenue potential.
Yep.
Okay. All right, that's the way it is. All right. Thank you. I was reminded about one more event, and I just got a reminder. So on Sunday morning, it was all of yesterday, there was a wonderful annual event called the Fanciest 5K Ever. So this is the t-shirt. And I had nothing to do with the fact that the bib number I got was my age. Fun medals at the end, but the most important part is that this is an annual fundraiser for Safety Compass, which has done tremendous work for helping people who are leaving sex trafficking, doing prevention work, and effort to raise awareness that sex trafficking and human trafficking is real, is present in this community, and to make sure that we are helping every way we can to bring people out of that and prevent it from happening. So it was an absolute delight. It's called the Fanciest 5K because you're encouraged to dress up in evening wear. You don't really want to run in high heels, and I don't, but it just makes it fun and fancy, and it's a way of saying that the people who we want to help, that we want to serve, we want to dress up for you because you're special. We value you, and we love you, and we want to make sure that you are safe and secure. So that's why we do it. Raised a lot of money. I can't remember how, it was about 30-something.
36 over the period of time, but I think for this one, it was over their target goal of 10,000, I think maybe close to 12,000.
So about $10,000, $12,000 raised this year, and over the period, they've raised well north of 30,000. The first year was like 3,000, she was really excited, and that was a great first year. It's just grown ever since, but more importantly, the awareness has grown as well. So thank you for the reminder to share this, and look forward to continuing the good work. And I believe, if I remember correctly, our police do partner with or use the services of Safety Compass. Chief?
Oh, yeah, we have for years, have a very close relationship with them.
So thank you very much, and thank you to everybody who supported that wonderful activity. All right, and then I don't think I've finished. On December 20th, we were going to hold that art account last one. Now we're going to do the interviews. So we will be meeting in regular session on the 20th. Glad we didn't take that off of our calendars. All right, anything else for the good of the order? Mr. Johnson.
Just a reminder, the option 2 was the December 20
Right.
option, and that's a 6 p.m. meeting. So it's a special meeting before the council meeting.
All right,
So 6 p.m. on your calendars.
got a double header, folks. Okay. Sounds good. All right, anything else for the good of the order? All right, the time is 8:44. We are adjourned. Thank you all.